Clinton Miner here from Sage Sawtooth Bushcraft. You know, God loves us all, and I think today he especially loves me. I am little change up here. We're on the South Fork of the Boise, or we're actually right where the South Fork breaks off from the Middle Fork of the Boise. We're up in the mountains. It's mid-November, and the bow season is open for deer and elk. I'm out kind of enjoying the day. My son-in-law is out actually seriously hunting. But while we're doing that, I decided I'd take a little bit of time and make a first video I've made in quite a long time. One of the things that we sell quite a lot of is a product we call Are You Ready Yeti matches. And really what it is, it's a metal tin, about the size of an Altoid tin, that holds a ferrocerium rod, a scraper. We put in a little bit of waxed jute twine into that you can use for a fire extender. But one of the things that I try and share with people is the actual pieces of fatwood that are in there. Pieces of fatwood that look about like this. Got a couple pieces here. Pieces of fatwood are not only something that I can scrape some of the material off and throw that spark from the ferrocerium rod, get the fire started, but they themselves are also a fire extender. And I want to kind of focus in on that here today. What I'm going to do is we'll rearrange the camera, and I'm going to go ahead and light each of these. You can see that they are, this one's about four inches long. These are each about 3 inches long. And one of them is about as wide as it is, or thick as it is wide, maybe quarter inch to half an inch. This one's closer to a half an inch wide, but it's about 1/8 of an inch thick. And we'll light each of these and see how long they burn. One of the things that I found is when you have a piece of fatwood like this, there are two huge values to it. One of those is it will burn by itself. Typically, if I simply had a piece of pine this size and I lit it on fire, it won't sustain itself. It won't continue the flame. You have to have multiple pieces together. But with the fatwood, it burns something like a candle. It'll continue to burn for a significant length of time with a significant flame. That's the other real value. The other thing about it is that flame will be larger than it would have typically been with just plain wood. And a third value is this stuff is really essentially waterproof. Now, these pieces have been in my backpack for 2 years. They have been most of that time in my camp trailer, and my camp trailer varies anywhere from 120 degrees down to below zero in this country. So people ask me all the time, do these things wear out? Do they evaporate? Do they lose their potency? And I think we'll see from these that we're not going to lose that potency. So stay tuned. So here on the rock, I've got those 3 pieces of fatwood that I just described. I've also put my Leatherman on the rock, so you've got some relative idea of the size. I'll go ahead and lay these on. This one looks like it is just a little more than 4 inches long. That one's coming in right almost exactly at 3 inches. And again, close to 3 inches. We can put that here and we can see it's about 1/8 of an inch wide. That's about 1/4 inch wide, maybe closer to a half, between a half and a quarter. Same kind of thing here. Now this one has some wood on it that doesn't have the pitch in it, but it is pitchy enough on this side. I think will work out just fine. So we'll go ahead and set that aside and just have it here for a reference. We could use these to actually start the fire by scraping them and throwing a spark onto them with a ferrocerium rod, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about trying to determine how long they will burn on their own. I'm going to go ahead and set them up here on this little rock that I've placed on the larger rock so that they're not laying flat. What I've found is that when you're burning fatwood like this and you want it to burn, you have to kind of treat it halfway between wood and a candle. You want it not straight up and down because it doesn't necessarily burn down like a wick the way a true candle would. But you don't want it laying flat on a surface and not having air around it. And so what I found is something like a 30 to 45 degree angle will give you your best results. We'll go ahead and light this one on fire. I'll just use my Bic lighter, and we'll go ahead and get that going. Because of that pitch that's in the wood, it doesn't take much to get it started. One of the very few downsides of Fatwood is that it does have that black smoke, but we'll go ahead and get that started, and we'll go ahead and time that, see how long it's gonna last for us. As I said, one of the values in this product, in the Are You Ready Yeti matches, is that not only do you have that Fatwood in there in these small portions, these almost match-sized pieces of wood that you can scrape and get the sawdust and use for the fire starter, but each of those sticks in itself is a fire extender. And that one, we will just run the timer on this video, and I'll give you some idea. I'll put in the corner how long it burns, but you can see I've got a substantial flame burning. It's a flame that is sustaining itself without any additional wood, and it's a flame that is waterproof, so even if I were in very, very wet circumstances, I could get that flame started and it will continue to burn so that I can get my fire lay put over it, maybe even dry out some of my tinder and have the ability to get a fire starting. Now you see, we've been going for more than a minute now, I think, getting close. And we are having a very substantial flame that is not going to go out. It's going to give us plenty of time to get the fire started. I'm going to do this with all three of them. What I will probably do is let them burn, each of them completely through until they go out. Once they've gone out, we'll light the next one. And with that, what I will do is I'll probably fast forward them, make them high speed, so that you don't have to watch 10 or 15, 20 minutes worth of fire, but you'll see that each of these has 3 to 5 minutes of burn in them, meaning that they are one of the best fire extenders you can have, as well as being an actual fire starter. So we'll just go ahead and let that burn now. One of the things you notice here is that I have a very substantial flame, something that will certainly get a fire going, enough heat that it will dry out tinder, frankly enough heat that by itself it would be a good hand warmer. All right, now we're getting down toward the end. I'm going to go ahead and use the flame that I have from that to get my next piece started. I will set it aside, away from that one, so that they're burning independently. But you saw that that one gave us a very nice flame for a very substantial period of time. We'll see how this one does for us. All right, the first piece just went out. We'll go ahead and register the time on that. I can tell you from my experience that if I didn't have the other one set up, and as the flame was dying, if I had turned that over, we would have gotten some additional time out of it. You can see there at the base where the flame finally went out, there's quite a bit of pitch on the rock that it would have candled well if we had turned it over. But still, we got a substantial flame out of a very small stick for a very long time. Great fire extenders. The one that's on the rock that's now burning is going to give us probably even a longer flame. I may have to tend it a little bit, move it up on the rock, but we'll just keep an eye on that. Now we're getting down where this is still burning well, and it's going to burn for a while, but I'm going to go ahead and start the next one, and we'll see how it does. Again, this is the one that had some of the wood that doesn't have pitch in it. We'll go ahead and set it just flat and see how it does. You can see that the second one I started really has hit the end and fully engulfed, and is still giving us a very, very substantial flame. The third one, smaller in size, partially not pitchwood or fatwood, still is doing very well and giving us plenty of fire. It's about to go out just because it just doesn't have the pitch in there, but it is, again, if you can't get a fire started with the time from the third one, you probably need to stay out of the woods. With regard to the second one, boy, if you can't get a fire started with that, something is definitely wrong. So very, very, very good fire extenders. You know, it's funny, we sell a fire extender called None Your Beeswax Fire Extender. I tell the kids it's none your beeswax because it's my beeswax unless you buy it, and then it's your beeswax. But until then, it's none your beeswax. And they work fantastic. They're a great product, but it's hard to beat nature. And nature has put together this fatwood that burns hot, burns large, burns even if it's been exposed to water, and gives you plenty of opportunity and time to get a fire started. So check out the Are You Ready Yeti matches. We will go ahead and show you what those look like here at the end of the video. And for those of you who have a problem with me calling them matches, well, we'll call them Are You Ready Yeti Fire Starter and Extender. Until we talk again, this is Clinton Miner from Sage to Sawtooth Bushcraft, and as we say here at Sage to Sawtooth Bushcraft, if you're prepared, you're never really lost. Thanks. I'm going to put a little postscript on this video. I want to show you what I was talking about when I said that if you turn them over, you get some more fire out of them. You look right here. I'll go ahead and lay it down so we've got a little better light. But this is the one that burned the longest, the second one. Down where it was sitting on the rock, there's still quite a lot of fatwood. The first one we started, again, quite a lot of still pitchy wood, and if I had turned that over, it would have enhanced the flame and it would have burned at least 20 or 30 seconds longer. The same thing with this one. It only burned, in fact, the top of the stick. I can't hold that, but it only burned the top of the stick and didn't burn the bottom. I've turned it over and you can see there's brown wood right here and brown wood right here. And so if I had turned each of those over, we would have had a very substantial additional flame. Obviously, if I had put 2 or 3 of those together, if I were in a very dire situation, if I'd put 2 or 3 of those together, I would have gotten a very, very large flame that could have dried out even very wet tinder. So keep that in mind as you use your Are You Ready Yeti matches, Are You Ready Yeti Fire Starter / Fire Extender.